First step when installing a kicker key, or any amplifier for that matter, is set up all the dip switches and dials on the end of the amplifier. Make sure your gains are turned all the way down. Set your crossovers to 80 Hertz if it has them. Any bass boost or anything like that, for right now, just turn it down. For the kicker key, we have a bunch of dip switches. First one is going to be 12 volt or DC offset. We want to choose DC offset. DC offset is a 6 volt DC that comes over your speaker lines. Most radios have it, and you can easily test for it. Fader control, we want to leave that on because we are doing front and rear. If we were just going to do a front stage upgrade, of course we turn fader off. Compressor, we're going to turn that on. Bi-amp mode, we're not doing just fronts, so we're going to leave bi-amp mode off. Kicker EQ, leave that in factory setting, which is EN or engaged. Time delay, factory setting, which is EN or engaged. Next, we're going to look at our crossovers. Because there is going to be no subwoofer in the system, for right now we are going to leave our crossovers off. They'll play full range. Once we do add a subwoofer, then we have the choice of 60, 80, or 120 for our crossover. Trying to figure out the best location to put it. We could do this, and another amp here, but then I gotta figure out, and like the power wire was for the passenger and I don't want that, so then my immediate thought was to do this. That'll put my gains at the top and easy to adjust, and then I'll have this whole area here for a sub amp if I need one. I can run my speaker wire down and over and cross this, do this type of you know, install like that, which I think is gonna be the best option. If he goes with the 500.1, it's small too, and there'll be plenty of room, but if he decides to go bigger amplifier, so I want to kind of keep this over here as much as I can and do the prettiest I can with what we're given in this area. Let's get started. First step is to mount the amplifier. This is ABS. ABS needs to be drilled before you screw into it, or it just really doesn't do a pretty job. Input wires running across here and off to the side. Speaker wires off here going to the side. Power wires going off this way. Earlier when we were talking about the speed wire, we said it doesn't need an insulation, and it doesn't. This insulation is just on here because where this is going to run across the back of the pickup truck, it will be seen, and also there is a jack that's there. We want to make sure that it's triple insulated and there'll be no issues with it where it's at. And then as it goes into the car, the double insulation that it has will be plenty for what it's doing. And then the power wire is ran up and it's sheathing and it's covered the whole way. We have this area here that can be for a future sub amp once he gets around to it, but for right now we're done with this. We're gonna get it into the car. The amp is set in place. I used a black Allen head screw to mount it up and hold it. This is what I was talking about here, this area right here that goes up and behind the jack. It is up behind and it kind of goes up and over and around before it enters into that side panel. Because it's going to be exposed here, that's why I go ahead and sheath it. Once it gets down and around, it comes into this nice trough right here. You can see where the power wires run up towards the front of the vehicle. It does the same way. They have all these zip ties in place that you can run up underneath into this trough. Right now it's waiting to go up through the firewall. On the other side of the car where the speaker wires run, same trough, zip tied here, zip tied here. There's this indentation right in this area, so the wire basically comes up through this and then down behind the panel below the seat belt. And then follows the same path as the power wire did on the other side. Underneath the factory zip ties up and into the area zip tied here, and then we're going to get it up and across and over into the dash.